All right, it's a very wonderful evening here from AFarmers Media, where we learn, we connect, and we grow.
Absolutely.
Did I get it right?
No, you got it right, but now the problem is you didn't get it right at the timing. It's afternoon, yeah.
Kwani si evening?
Evening starts from 4.
We pia sasa. Evening inaanza saa ngapi?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yep.
So a very good evening to you.
Yeah, so 4 p.m. is after 4 p.m. it's always a very good evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ikifika 4 p.m. tukirudi I say good evening.
Mm-hmm.
So good afternoon, our viewers.
Yeah.
This is Farm Drive here at AFarmers Media. I am your host, Dora Manya.
And I, Brian Munda.
Yes, I missed you yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Kiasi.
Yeah,
kiasi tu.
Umeanza kupata gangster point. Kana sisi utapata.
I missed you kiasi tu, you know. But it's good that you're here today. I know you're busy. Hii kampuni iko na kazi mingi.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Before people see tumeenda live, kuna kazi mingi ufanyika behind the scenes.
Of course, yeah. True.
Yeah, so
but we remain committed to the cause.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Ultimately, we want to ensure that there's money in your pocket.
Yep.
As usual, pesa mfukoni is a slogan here.
Yes.
Mr. Nasiali says waliiba a slogan yetu. So hatutaogopa kutumia pesa mfukoni for a farm.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. And of course, once you talk about pesa mfukoni, is making your farming venture into agribusiness.
Sure.
So in agribusiness, there's the science and the business side.
You are right.
So as always, we always want to talk about every aspect of it. And I'm sure today's conversation is quite an interesting one.
In fact,
a very touchy one.
In fact, Madam Director should tell Diana to create a poll on this. This one.
Yeah, I think
this one we need a poll for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
For today's discussion, we want to get your views. This one is going to be interesting because 1, schools have closed.
Yes.
2, KCPE imeisha.
Yeah, KCPE imeisha.
Lakini tuseme tu kweli. And then Professor Magoha said that the results will be out in 2 weeks time.
Yes.
Sijui kama ni fair. I don't know if it's fair because during my time after KCPE results zilikuwa zinakuja after Christmas,
After actually zilikuwa zinakuja in between 27th, 28th.
Yes.
Hadi 30th pale.
So siku hizi watoto wanafanya exam, then they say after 2 weeks the results are going to be out. I think we need to review this siku ingine huko weekend huko. Tuweze kuelewa.
Yeah, we're going to look into that, of course. Well, did you hear about the case of the lady mwenye alipotea macho?
Alipotea macho?
Yeah, alipotea macho kabla ya exam.
Before the exams.
Yeah.
These cases are always there, just before the exams or during the exams.
Are they only in Africa?
To be precise, in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Na a particular part of Kenya. I don't want to kusema.
Well, okay.
Kuna place to Kenya. Place fulani Kenya huku. Unaona kwenye mkono wangu umeenda huku.
But I wouldn't want to of course okay, it's a bit painful that the child had to undergo such a thing during
yes.
a very important time in her life. After 8 years of working hard, and maybe even more. Like, once you look at the flip side, unafeel tu kucheka.
Wewe usicheke, my friend. Wanasemaga usifanye namna gani, usimtusi mkunga.
I want to know the story behind it. Because I think there's always a story behind a story. I believe that.
Yes, you need to take time, just check through.
Yeah, we understand something must have happened.
Or there are those who believe in Mazingaombwe and all that.
Yes. But of course, it's something that we wouldn't want to go
deep inside. Kuna wanafunzi walikunywa sanitizer wakakosa kuona. Wakati COVID ilikuwa hot. They took sanitizers na wakakosa kuona. Unajua, so things happen.
Yes.
But anyway, pray for the best that it shall be well.
Yes.
And our kids are home and the parents are there. Some of the parents are just tired and wondering, hii long holiday ya 2 months itaisha lini?
Yes.
You know, so some parents are coming up with ideas of taking them to shags.
Yes.
Some sasa wanasema we thank God because it's a planting season.
Yes.
We'll have enough labor in the farm. For some it's an opportunity to teach their children work. For some it's just time for children to interact and relax. I don't know what you're planning for your kid during this long holiday. Okay, but here we are today discussing something that touches on them. So,
you know, I'm trying to trace. Maybe there's ever been a case of the same thing happening, and funny enough, last year the case happened again.
During exams,
in Homa Bay, one KCSE candidate, closed the site, a few minutes to writing the exam.
Others wanafura mkono inakataa kuandika.
Yeah, and you know, okay, the reason I was even more of laughing, it's the excuse enye tulikuwa tunapatia walimu wetu ati baadaye nilikosa kufanya assignment kwa sababu
nilikuwa naumwa na mkono.
Mkono. Ama mzee aliwasha TV.
So I was watching. You must have been stubborn during the days, by the way.
I was easy though.
Yes. Anyway, that's about exams.
Yes.
Farm Drive today, we want you to engage in this particular conversation right on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We are live on YouTube, YouTube at AFarmers Media, or pia kwa Facebook, AFarmers Media. Pia pale kwa
Twitter, AFarmers Media, Instagram, AFarmers Media, Facebook, AFarmers Media.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
Give us your comment.
Yes.
And the topic today is...
of course, we're talking about child labor today. And,
in relation to farming.
In relation to farming in specific.
Child labor in relation to farming.
And this is a topic that we will love to be guided by statistics. And of course, what we relate with.
Yes.
Because you can be part of the statistics.
It is true. And what we want to find out from you, give us your views. Do you think, now that schools have closed, the kids are home, it's planting season, does involving your kids in farm activities or farming activities amount to child labor as far as farming is concerned? Probably you can help us understand that, and we'll be good to go with this particular discussion. And for us to put this in perspective, we need to start somewhere.
Yes. We need to start somewhere.
And understand what is child labor.
Yes. The definition of child labor.
Yes. We'll give a general definition, and this one is going to be based on International Labor Organization, ILO.
Yes.
Okay. Based on ILO says that child labor is work, okay, that is carried out by children under the age of 18, okay, that in any way exploits them or causes them mental or physical or social harm or even places them in moral danger. That is based on ILO, that any child under the age of 18 that is involved in work that exploits them either mentally or physically or causes them social harm or places them in moral danger, then you call that child labor.
So you mean that if the I would say the extent of the work they do is the definition
exactly
the impact.
In fact, Part B of it says that it is work that interferes, okay, blocks their access to education, and even deprives them of their childhood and their potential and dignity. So it's the extent. The extent
of the damage it does cause.
Damage, exactly.
That's child labor.
Yes, where your child is deprived of their dignity, they're not able to feel like they're children. You know, there's a stage. If you're a child, there are things to expect of you. Cha baba na cha mama, you need to play ball, you know, ile ball ya karatasi ya kitambo.
Yeah,
play that one.
Yeah.
In our language
okay, I didn't play, but I used to see.
In our language, it's called kafundo. Or lifundo.
Wow.
Yeah, so you know that ball, you know, for the girls they expect that tunajifunza kupika, and I really loved preparing mangoes when I was young. Kupika mangoes, you know.
Ungepika mangoes?
Yes.
Well, that was child labor right there.
So anything that deprives a child of feeling like they are a child,
you
know, nyang'anya dignity, or any work. Actually, let me use the word work. Any work inafanya kwamba they're exposed to harm. Work that makes them probably not go to school. Okay? Work that makes them, you know, feel devastated in life. Then we're saying that is child labor.
That's child
Whatever
labor.
work that causes them harm.
Yes.
You know, that is child labor.
Absolutely. And you know, bringing it even closer is, you know, when we were young, I think we've all experienced different childhoods. Different experiences. We've also grown with other people who have also experienced different stuff. But we've grown in agricultural setting for different people. I would say, as a farmer, I would want to assume that you did learn from apprenticeship, of course learning from other farmers, and part of it is you learning from your parents or even your guardians and everybody around you. And I'm sure you got to work in a farm or even look at how things used to work. So according to your definition, if I was subjected to if I was overloaded physically,
yes,
emotionally,
mentally, yes,
and if I did
even
forego,
morally,
even morally,
socially,
putting me on a very social dilemma,
yes,
I would say aibu tu,
yes,
aibu ya socially. And above that, if of course I will not access school because I'm working, that's child labor.
Exactly. Your parent tells you in the morning, wake up, go and weed your maize or whatever is in the farm, and at the expense of you going to class, then there is child labor. And I'm very sure most of our farmers and all those who are watching and listening to us can relate to this. At some point, probably, there's something you missed out in your childhood. And you missed it out because you were busy in the farm.
Yes.
Ye nyumbani pale.
That's the definition according to
ILO.
International Labour Organization.
Who also have statistics.
Yes.
Yes.
They say, what's the age of somebody who should be employed? From what age? In between what age should one person be given the workload?
Basically, if you look at the Kenyan Constitution, who is an adult? An adult is
above
anyone
18
who is
years.
above 18 years.
Yes.
So anyone under the age of 18 is a child.
Yes.
You know, under the age of 18 is a child.
Yes.
But we need to draw a line here. Does this therefore mean that we don't give our kids work?
Yes.
You know, we're coming to that particular kind of discussion.
Absolutely.
So anyone under the age of 18, that one is a child. 18 years and above, that one is an adult. They can be able to make decisions. You can tell them what to do and they're able to do it around. As opposed to, I remember probably when I was around standard 5 or 6 or even 4, your parent could wake you guys up, you go to the shamba, and then you see what they used to do is count, let me use the literal language, they count the lines. Ya mahindi. So wanahesabu laini za mahindi, and they say, kila mtu amalize laini zake 10. Without finishing, you cannot, hauwezi kutoka kwa shamba. And it also means that you're likely to miss out on breakfast or lunch.
You see,
so unapimiwa place kama hii studio and you're told lazima umalize hii kazi. And you're a kid, you're a child. And makiu umeenda kwa shamba, you've not eaten anything. You just woke up, the last food you ate ilikuwa sapa jana usiku. Yes.
I think that's you know, actually, even as we narrow down to that, because I'm seeing as we go on with the conversation, we're breaking down information that we also might have seen people undergo the same.
Sure.
Because according to data from international data, 160 million children in the beginning of the year 2020 were undergoing or suffering from child labor.
Yes. 160 million.
Yeah, 160 million.
Of the year 2020.
Yeah, the beginning of the year 2020. Yes. That means we have about 1.6 billion children.
Okay.
So that's about one child out of 10 was undergoing,
subjected to child labor.
Exactly.
As far as
subjected to child labor.
Just sticking to statistics again. Probably you go fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
To bring this case even closer to Kenya, they say that 8.5% of children, 8.5%. You know, I would love to talk about Africa.
Yes.
But I would love to narrow down to Kenya. Africa, the cases are even more. You know, but narrowing down even to Kenya, it's 8.5.
Yes.
Worldwide, it's 1%. Actually, it's 10%. In Kenya, it's 8.5%, slightly low. But then they say that that's 1.3 million children. 1.3 million children do suffer child labor. If you bring it even closer to ASAL community, I would say it's the arid and semi-arid areas. If you bring it closer, it's 30%. 3 out of 10 children are suffering child labor.
Yes.
And we did see that once we went to Marsabit. You can see mtoto mdogo sana haendi shule, and what they do, they have large cattle.
Yes.
Camels wanapeleka Malisho. And even the conditions. You know, Dora, as I was telling you, tukiwa tunakula lunch hapa, ile jonyi ilikuwa inatupiga pale, something about 30 degrees, I would say 28 to 30 degrees. Those children, the temperatures at noon were reading 40 degrees and even more. 40 degrees, mtoto ana maji. You know, unaenda ukiwa unarusha, tulikuwa nawapatia maji. And these people are very thirsty. Akirudi home, some of the cases that hata food hatapata.
Yes.
And I don't know.
So child labor is real.
It's real.
You've given statistics probably based on the year 2020, right? But again, if you go back, if I give you statistics from ILO again, International Labour Organization, that between the year 2012 and the year 2016, we actually had 152 million children being subjected to child labor. And out of this 152 million, actually 73 million walikuwa subjected to ile inaitwa hazardous work, yani extreme work, ile extreme tena kabisa. And surprisingly, Africa is leading. Africa actually was leading, I think is still leading as far as issues child labor is concerned, because between 2012 2016, Africa was leading at 19.6%.
Yes.
And America at 5.3%, down as you continue, Europe and Central Asia at 4.1%. So my interest is Africa. Why do you think the numbers are high in Africa at 19.6%?
You know, once we even talk about even Africa, which is 19.6%,
yes.
And in a community like the ASAL community that I told you is 30%, which means even in Kenya, where the average is 8.6%, 30% is still considered, because these are statistics by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. It's still considered to bring it lower to 8.6%. So which means ASAL is the biggest. So let's now start looking to that dynamic, the conditions. First, poverty. Poverty levels are very high.
Yes.
Poverty levels are very high. And
when you talk about poverty, we're basically getting to some of the causes, some of the reasons as to why our kids are involved in child labor, as far as even farming is concerned. And at times, these reasons that we'll give you will actually cut across, that it's not just in farming, but even across other activities. But just before you get to poverty, if you look at the 152 million I've talked about between 2012 and 2016, the percentage for the kids between 5 years and 11 years that were involved in agricultural activities
in specific,
was at 70.9% globally. In short, when you look at other activities, industrial, social, services and others, the farming sector was leading, and I think it's still leading globally as far as child labor is concerned. So if you look at those kids between 5 and 11 years, 70.9% being involved in agricultural activities, there is a high definition of child labor. And sad statistics there. And this will therefore help us actually understand now why do we have the numbers being very high? Why do you have kids involved in child labor? You know, why? And you'll also need to answer the question between ourselves and amongst our audience. Does involving our kids really in the farm activities amount to child labor? Because kuna ile unaweza fikiria child labor na si child labor. You know. So we're going to be looking at that. But as you follow the conversation, let us know what is your take about this entire topic as far as farming is concerned. You can reach us out on Facebook, Farmers Media, on YouTube, Farmers Media, on Instagram and Twitter. You can get us there. Tag us along at Dora Manya.
At Brian Monda.
Then get the conversation rolling on our social media platforms.
Yes.
Now, Bran, before we get to causes and, of course, probably look at some of the reasons that kids are involved in child labor, for you, does taking these kids to the shamba, like now wamefunga shule, some of the parents say, hapa town, hatuna shamba, so our kids have to go to mashinani, waende wakasaidie shosho kwa shamba, and all that. When we take our kids to the farm, waende wakapande mahindi, labda wakapalilie maharagwe and all that, do you think that is child labor?
I think what happens is, first let's understand why we need to even teach our children. mbona tuwa involve kwa agriculture at the tender age that they are, and even the age that you should even do that. You know, kuna yule mtoto mdogo mwenye hata kuwa involved lakini hata kwa pale maybe amebebwa na mamake ndio ameenda maybe kupalilia shamba
na kuna mtu akuachia mtoto
na ana option huyo ana option. The problem comes in when now the condition that the child is in, kama sasa utamweka chini ya jua ama place yenye kuna vumbi, hiyo sasa ni shida kivyake. But then them looking at you kukaa hapo sijui nini, but then as long as you attend to them you're doing right. They say in between 13 and 16 years old is when now you can introduce somebody to light work. Light work ni kama enda unibebe kitu kama nini, kitu kama something that's not gonna harm them ama injure them.
Yes.
Kitu kadogo tu nisaidie ile gunia pale.
Yes.
You can help me pale. And if the kid doesn't want,
they should not be forced.
Usimforce. Usimforce, because what happens is of course kids while I know in the African culture, African setting, tukipatia mtoto hiyo fursa ya kukuambia staki, we might get akona kiburi. But then if you're easy with them, waambie nisaidie ile kitu. But then let it not be something that's so heavy to
natuma mtoto abebe mbolea DAP 50 kgs
hata 10 kgs o mtoto akiwa 13 years old laezi bana. So if it's going to cause them emotional, physical, social, of course any other moral,
psychological
harm,
yes,
just don't. And that, you know, the moment that you know that the kid is struggling, the kids might tell you, ama utaona mtu hii, utaona tu body language, yes. No, they're not up to it. And at some point I always feel as if the later duties automatically come. The later duties,
yes.
You see, the later duties utaziona tu. Ni ile kitu yenye you don't need an employee ama mtu mkubwa akusaidie. Kitu kidogo tu. Ile yenye anaweza kusaidia tu.
Lakini pia inategemea what appears light to you could not be light kwa mtoto. For example, away from, okay, let's just stick there. You are in the farm, then unatuma mtoto ako 6-7 years, unamtuma aende nyumbani alete maji ya kunywa kwa 10 liter jerrycan. That jerrycan looks small, right? From you, wewe unasema hiyo ni kidogo, mtoto aenda bebe. You see, so if this child ako 7 years, 8 years, unamtuma alete 10 liters jerrycan of water, watu laborers wako kwa shamba wakaweza kunywa maji, then to me that's extreme. So to you, what appears light may not be light kwa mtoto. So we also need to understand what light is. When you say maybe light tasks, how light is light?
Of course, you can see physically if they're struggling to do it. But then I would say if they are not and it's causing no harm, let them flex. But again,
I'll agree with you at some point that personally, to answer that question, whether we should involve them and if we involve them, whether it is child labor, look at it this way. Because we've already defined what child labor is. If it extreme conditions, work conditions for a kid. If they are not extreme, and your sole purpose for you taking your kid along with you to the shamba is teaching them something, and it's not extreme, there'll be no harm, as you're saying. They'll not feel like they cannot be hurt in the process. You know, probably the harmful objects will not azitaumiza. If it's not extreme and it's with the sole purpose of teaching your kid how to do it, to me I think that is not a child. Anaweza kuwa 9 years, anaweza kuwa 10 years, lakini the reason you're telling them, mami beba hii mbegu ya mahindi twende kwa shamba, you just want them to know kwamba hii mahindi wanaona the green, you know, I mean the product ya kile tulio kwa nini ndio hii, they can learn so much from it. So if it's for the sole purpose of just teaching them to get an idea of what happens without being too hard on them, you know, without kupiga kelele na kiboko, nimesema lima hapo maliza haraka, blah blah blah, then I would not think it is child labor.
Of course, you cannot understate the importance of teaching the child the origin of the food that they do consume. It's okay. Let them know, but then not to that extent. the hard extent.
Yes.
Let them also know the importance of hard work.
Yes.
Of course, let them see more of see. Kama mtoto amefika kitu kama 17, 18 years, they can help you hapa na pale. But then remember, it's not forcing them to do stuff.
Exactly. Na uchunga juu sheria pia iko.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is, for me, is that if it's just light tasks, as you're saying, and they're enjoying doing it. In fact, there are kids who are like, mom, nataka kwenda nayo kwa shamba. Daddy nikufuate. Hata mimi ununulie gumboots kama zako. There's something that kid is communicating. Daddy nataka hii ndama nikipiga itaniuma. You know. No, to me that's encouraging. That is not child labor as far as farming is concerned. But if it gets to a place whereby the kid uses heavy machines, upatia mtoto kijembe iveta ndefu kumliko. Heavy machines probably, or sharp tools. You know, mtoto ameng'ang'ana na sharp tools pale, ama pia unampatia pesticides. Unataka ka spray. That is child labor. You know,
you're talking about that, and I did remember I have a younger sister who is something I think I call grade 5, say. So, well, once in a while I might go help in construction, kurudisha a few things pale kwa farm. And even when I was looking for farm equipment and farm wear, I had to look for hers because she wanted to just be part of it.
Yes.
So anataka kufuata tu and be part of it.
So sometimes usikue mkali.
Yeah.
Atoka hapa endo kayoko nyumbani ucheze na watoto. For a child especially ambaye ameonyesha interest, you know, just nurture them slowly.
Actually, it's that point that we're going next. It's always a way to appreciate the interest in everything. If they want to know how stuff is done, again, don't keep them away from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially a good example. This is a boy who will grow up to become a man.
Yeah.
Anataka kujua jinsi ya kukamua tu ng'ombe.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Atusemi sasa ati utaacha hapo ng'ombe alafu mtoto angangane kukamua bwana anaweza pigwa mateke.
Yeah.
You know, but you're there and the boy is there and probably at some point they try. That one is allowed.
Yeah.
Or after milking na ni ndama na mbuzi ziko hapo, they can take care of them. You know,
yeah.
I think to me that is very, very important for especially the young man who wants to know some of those things that men, we can say we expect men to do them. Take care of the cattle, ensure wamekunywa maji, wamepata napier and all that. So to me, the extremes. The extremes is what makes it what we call child labor. The extremes. Even when you talk about extremes, Brian, look at extremes in terms of time. Mtoto ndio unamfunza maybe kulima ama kuchunga kondoo, lakini tangu mtume na kondoo sijui anapelekaga wapi huko. Alienda toka asubuhi 8. Imefika saa 5, mtoto breakfast hakuna, imefika lunch hajakula. This kid comes back jioni, you know, ama ameshinda kwa shamba kufanya kazi. Hiyo inafanyika, inaitwa child labor, because those extreme working conditions ama working hours, because hata wewe wakati una work very long hours.
Of course.
Una feel them again.
You might be fatigued. And of course, once you talk about the working hours, I think everything narrows down to the condition, the working condition. And it's not even only the kids. And some of these policies and some of these laws that were made to curb child labor, I always feel you can always feel the Constitution. You know, you don't need to read it to know. You can always feel the Constitution. It's right and wrong. It's what you feel and what you can see.
Yes.
So you don't need a Constitution to tell you, wewe mtu andodhi usipita mbele ya gari hata kama iko kwa Constitution. Either way, you know you're on the wrong. You know?
To me example mzuri.
Kama
wewe mtu andodhi msiharass wanawake.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, once you look into mtoi, a child labor, it's as basic as you can see it.
Mwekea nguo zote hapo mingi akazioshe.
Yeah, it's as basic as you can see and you can feel it.
Okay.
If it were you, would you do the same thing?
Exactly. And that is the question. If it were you, would you do the same thing? We'll take our first short break, and we'll be coming back with so much more. We want to look at probably the causes of what we call child labor.
Yes.
And I said some of these reasons we're going to give you could cut across.
Yes.
And later on, we'll also be looking at why we feel it is justifiable for these kids to go to the farm, you know, without extremes.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
We'll be looking into that in just a few. In this particular program, which is Farm Drive at AFarmers Media, I'm your host, Dora Manya.
And I, Brian Munda.
Tunarudi.
Celery is a marshland plant that comes from the same family as carrots and parsley. It has long, firm and pale green fibrous stalks and grows in bunches of approximately 8 to 10 centimeters. The stalks taper into leaves at the top. When planting celery, it's best to ensure that the soil is enriched with compost and with a soil pH of between 5.8 to 6.8. It is also important for celery to grow in moisture-retentive soil. Lastly but not the least, select a site that receives full and direct sunlight. Celery needs about 130 to 140 days to mature between seedling and harvest. Growing celery is generally considered to be an ultimate vegetable gardening challenge. It's easy to grow, but has very specific needs.
A nursery bed is a small area of a yard or garden that's used for growing certain selected plants. The goal of a nursery bed is to grow young plants to a certain size at which they can be easily transplanted. A nursery bed can also be used to evaluate plants to see if they are worthy of planting in the larger garden, to observe their growth, habit and color, or watch them for pests and diseases. A nursery bed is especially helpful for vegetable gardeners practicing succession in planting, in which a steady supply of fresh produce is maintained.
Yes, we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. This is Farm Drive at Farmers Media. I am your host, Dora Manya.
I'm your host, Brian Munda.
And we say welcome back to this wonderful conversation. And in this conversation, I'm telling you, we can't even get enough of it.
Yes.
Tukianza kushare experience zetu za child labor, some of you start crying. So I'll rather not share mine.
But again, as we speak about child labor, the planting season is coming.
Yes.
And you know what's next? Actually, I would say it's almost here with us, and some would say it's here with us.
It's here with us. There's some places washapanda by the way.
Washaanza kupanda.
Place ingine washalima, and then they're waiting to plant. Wanapimia mvua.
Yes. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and interestingly, they say one of the best things to do as a farmer ni kupanga time vizuri wakati wa planting na marketing, which affects the marketing. So what happens is ukipanda mapema, even 1 month before other farmers were rain fed, utafikisha produce yako kwa market 1 month before. So it means the demand is still high. Because the production is still low.
Yes.
So
supply
iko low. So, and of course, once we talk about a time like now, where the most basic thing right now is, of course, seeds. Looking for seeds, sourcing for seeds. And once we talk about sourcing for seeds, many people do want to treat their seeds to increase the nutritional value in the seeds, uptake of the nutrients, and of course, ensure that the roots are doing fine. Roots is in a stretch uko chini. And most of the farmers right now are using more of the Omnia products. One in specific called Seed Boost. So Seed Boost ensures that your seed is high quality. It takes in nutrients the right way. And then hata wakati umepanda, roots zake zinateremka vizuri kabisa. That ensures that they do uptake nutrients in the soil, and also remember the seed is high quality. Okay. And of course, you've interacted with some of these products. Where would you recommend if I do want to be part of using these products? What would you recommend?
If you're a farmer and probably ukona place yenye iko sana kuna maji, waterlogged areas, then of course you need products from Omnia. They'll really be of help to you, and we say that they're very essential also in managing stress in all your crops.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is just visit the nearest agrovet, ask for Omnia products. You can also visit their Facebook page, ask questions there. Probably you need them to deliver where you are.
Yes.
But see, Omnia are there for you, because they believe that as a farmer you can make the best out of Omnia products.
Absolutely. So, Omnia Nutrology.
Yes. Omnia Nutrology.
Yes.
So hapo unapata K-Humet,
Folico 19,
Mega
Seed
KLP,
Boost,
my favorite.
Mega KLP,
yes.
Humet,
yes.
Razorvator, micronutrients, everything.
Visit their page for more information,
yes,
and get that which is good for you at this particular planting season.
Yes.
This is Farm Drive, and we continue our discussion here about child labor in relation to farming. And
yes.
we said we want to get to know your views. Involving your kids in farm work. Okay, or involving them to go out there, take care of the cattle, milking at home, you know, farm-related activities. Does that amount to what we call child labor? That is the discussion here, and we've given our minds. We also want to hear from you what you think. We'll be giving you our call lines as we continue with this. And with Brian here, probably it's important for us maybe to put this into perspective again. What are some of the reasons that will make a parent, to subject, in quotes, their child to what we call this harsh labor, okay? Some knowingly, some unknowingly. The causes of child labor.
I would say more of them are 3, but then basically it's 1.
Okay.
1, you can never fight the impacts. You can never fight something called ignorance. And ignorance, part of it ni kutojua. You see? Ignorance, ukishikwa sahi, umeiba mayai ya watu. But then it's written in the constitution that ukiiba, property, once you do steal property and stuff, it's in the constitution. But then even those things that you do without knowing, ukienda in front of a court of law, they never know if you knew or you didn't know. You know?
They say ignorance is no defense.
Ignorance is no defense. So everything, the back of child labor is ignorance. We start now breaking it down. Of course, ignorance, it'll lead you to poverty. Poverty levels. You know, you'll want to minimize on your cost of labor. Hey, na uko na familia nyingine kubwa hapa nyuma yako. And you have a feeling that, you know, if I can use some of these guys, see, actually it's called fees.
Food ya kutosha. Now some of the food will go to the market, so we'll get money. So poverty.
Yes, poverty. But then one thing you don't know about the poverty is the fact that you're justifying in there also. You're justifying why they're being part of the job. So you're depending on them. I don't know if you understand. Labor. Once it reaches a point where you start depending on a kid, jua.
To carry out tasks for you.
To carry out tasks for you. That's...
Mtoto atoke shule aende auze mboga.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So poverty is a major factor here. Poverty. And talking of poverty, I think I'll concur with you, and without offense here. If you do your own statistics, your own research, Brian, you're likely to notice that the families that subject their kids maybe to what we call child labor, as far as farming is concerned, are families that are less privileged. For lack of a better word.
Economically.
Yes, those who are less privileged economically.
Yeah.
Ama status yao ya income iko chini.
Yeah.
For those kids that come from families where their status is not is average probably, or is just okay as far as cash flow is concerned, you realize they're not. It's very rare to get such.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very rare to hear mtoto wa fulani mahali fulani complaining kwamba wanafanya kazi kwa shamba and si kufanya tu kazi, they're subjected to tunaita child labor. Heavy machines there, sharp tools, pesticides, unapata mtoto wa bebe knapsack sprayer ngangane, mostly na kwa low income earning families. You
know, I will tell you the truth about some of these things. It's not even our children alone. It's even employing these people. You remember there's a time where asking for an ID was a basic need before employing somebody. It should be a basic need. Because watoto wengi kama saa hii, to be honest, well, I would say the economic times right now are harsh. They're really hard for people. And every coin that comes back at home is well valued.
Sure.
But unapata kwamba mtoto anaambiwa now that umemaliza si uko high school na uko na nguvu baba.
Yes.
Actually ama umemaliza KCPE si uko na nguvu tunaona. Unaamua si tuanze kutafuta school fees next term.
So unataka kwenda college.
Si unataka kwenda college.
Unapata kwenda college, sema wewe atakuwa afika 18 sasa na huyo. Sasa kuna huyo anafaa kwenda form 1.
Yeah.
Kwa 14 years.
Exactly.
Unajua ama yuko class 7 ama 6 unataka aende boarding. So unataka kwenda boarding kama wenzako.
Yeah.
So you go look for this money.
Yeah. Unaambiwa enda tutafuta pale. You just take it up. But then, you know, it's ignorance from both sides.
Yes.
And as I said, of course, it's from the parents, but also about that, it's from the employer side of it.
Okay.
Employer has the need, and the parent has the need, and the kid is the solution.
But you're saying here, probably a kid could not be the solution for you. Look for people outside there who can work for you. And if you want to know whether this one is a kid or not, Brian is saying ask for the ID when you want to employ them.
Yeah, just as simple as that. Ask for that.
Inaweza kuwa ni mwili tu. You think this one is a grown up. Yeah. It's just a teenager mwenye amekula vizuri.
Yeah.
You know, so I think a lot of truth there. Poverty makes us subject our children to what we call child labor. But also, Brian, the aspect of family expectations, you've also mentioned partly, family expectations and traditions. There are families that have so much expectation, probably, let's say from a girl child, that when this girl is growing up, they expect kwamba by the time maybe she's 10 years, you're saying this girl should be able to cook for 15 people. This girl should be able to carry a 20-liter jerrycan in their head. This girl should be able to go to the shamba and plant this and do this and do this. You know, so there are those expectations from different families, but also what does tradition say as far as these children are concerned? Because at times if you don't draw the line, you say kwamba sisi culture yetu inasema kijana akifika 10 years anafaa akuwe anajua kuchunga camels. Kijana akifika 9 years akuwa anaweza kukimbizana na ng'ombe. Mtoto akifika 5 years akuwa anaweza kuchinja kuku. So the family expectations. At times you expect too much from our children. You think so?
Talking about that, I was just reflecting on some of the scenes that we did find at Lake Turkana, the shows. So we're coming from a place called Arabal, going to somewhere called Loyangalani.
Yes.
So the nature of that place, it's rocky, very rocky. Na distance ya karibu 77 kilometers bila hata nyumba moja. 77 kilometers bila hata nyumba moja yenye unaona.
Okay. Did you just say 77?
77 kilometers. Do you know what that means?
Kama kutoka hapa mpaka Limuru.
Exactly. Hata bila nyumba hata moja. And the funniest thing is that now we arrive at the shows, Lake Turkana, and we meet these 4 kids who are somehow, it's a very sad case. Unawaona face value yao ungefikiria ni watu in between 15, 16, 17. But then ni wadogo lakini.
Sure.
Unaambiwa ni watoto wa 10 years. The oldest is 12 years. And the funniest thing is they've been walking. Remember I told you the sun is at 40 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
They've been walking. Actually tulikuwa tunakanyaga chini. Cameraman mmoja wetu alikwambia Sunje. Alikwambia ulikuwa unakanyaga chini, unafeel kama hujavaa kitu yote. Sasa hiyo umevaa kiatu. Unafeel unachomeka.
Je, sasa na watu hapa wanaishi namna gani?
Watoto walikuwa they had traveled for 6 hours since morning.
Yes. On foot.
On foot.
Yes.
Looking for their parents.
But,
and even the most emotional part of it is that they're ready to be married.
Just so that they can get something to eat, so that they can get out of the problems of their family.
Family expectations.
You know, yeah, so they expect you that maybe you get to some age, you should be able to take care of yourself.
So, some of these things that I wouldn't say even on that feature we did, is that there was some story that might be they are sold out, but they are mothers. Because, okay, according to how things happen there, they, wakiwa 10 years, 12, kuna nini wanapakwa, jivu. Reddish hivi ni nini. Na huyu mtoto anakuja anachukulia kwenu. Anaibwa kwa kuibwa.
I think anamvalisha.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Anaenda kwa mzee, kwa kina mama ya mzee. Wanakaa huko. Well, there was a lot of justification for that. Sijui ili mtoto akue ajifunze kuwa sijui akue nani wife kwa wife material stuff.
Mtoto ni mtoto. Time ya kuwa wife itakuja kufika Brian.
And people did think there was some story that it's even coordinated. And you know the mothers can never even go to pick up their children from there. So there were maybe some story that maybe it's even coordinated by the parents because it's a culture that they've met.
That's why we're talking about family expectations and traditions.
Mnauza watu. Yes. It's culture. It's family expectations. Economic, value comes in there. Ignorance comes in there. And also justification.
Yeah, basically, I really agree with you. But whichever way, whether there's tradition and expectations, nafikiri kuna traditions zimepitwa na wakati. We just need some enlightenment to understand that turning probably a girl child into a mother at her teenage years is probably it's very harmful for her. It's just of subjecting a girl to FGM. No reason justifies that. No culture, whatever you tell me. I don't think that is justifiable at all.
Yes.
So family traditions and we're also looking at the cultures contribute to what we call child labor. What are some of the reasons probably you as a listener or a follower of this particular program could give us that are leading to what we call child labor as far as farming is concerned? You can hook up with us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram, AFarmers Media. Let us get to know your views and later on we'll be able to open our line so that we can get your feedback. Brian, let's look at limited accessibility to education.
Yeah.
Or lack of education for that matter. I mean, the reason I wanted to use the word limited is, Yes, you could find that a child will want to go to school, but the opportunities are not there because, one, the, what do you call, I call them maybe schools are not accessible. Maybe they are very, very far, you know. Therefore, we say, hakuna haja mtoto kutrek for 6 hours to go to school. So, wacha mtoto atusaidia hapa bwana, aongeze value addition. Value addition. So, I also think that limited access to what we call accessible education or education could be one of the reasons that is making parents subject their children to child labor.
I'll tell you this, and you also part of the, okay, you've lived in Nairobi,
yes,
and some other parts of the country also, where we have seen even children being picked up at 4 a.m.
Sure.
And of course, there's always some justification on the same, that mtoto akiingia kwa gari atalala, so either way bado anaendelea kulala, o basi ya shule iko na nini. Okay, so these are some of the things that we have to cope on with for a while. We can stomach kidogo, tuseme sawa mtoto acha amke yote well
atalala mapema.
Kwanza hii wakati expressway ilikuwa inatengenezwa, there was so much jam, both Thika Road na Mombasa Road and even Kiambu Road huko Waiyaki uko hizo places zote, you find that watoto kabla jam ije build up, shule wanataka kwanza kumaliza kupick up watu hii. So of course you're trying to adapt to the environment of the city, na uko na school bus and stuff, but then that's part of accessibility to schools. But then you think about, let me go back to our communities, where a school is very far away from the community, but I don't feel distance should be the main reason as to why mtoto ataenda shule. Distance is always part of, the general excuse that it's part of the reason as to mtoto hakuweza kwenda. I think if you have a parent who does, if you are a parent who does treasure education, you are educated personally, hata kama ulifika di class 8 ama form 4,
hata class 2,
you'll make sure your kid goes to school.
And I believe and absolutely
distance is nothing.
Yes, I believe that if there's any best reward you can ever give to your kid is education.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best inheritance for me. Peleka wao shule, I think the rest will fall into place.
Yes.
But if you just left them, wamekusaidia kwa shamba, watoto wengine wanasoma, baadaye watoto wengine wakipata kazi, wataendelea kusaidia in the farm. Yeah. So economic value hapo inakuwa kidogo iko chini. So these kids inafika mahali ndio nakuta mzazi sometimes analazimisha watoto kwenda kuolewa, kijana mdogo aenda fanye kibarua so that he is able to bring money home. So to me, limited access probably to education will be another reason that I look at as some of the reasons that amount to child labor.
Talking about the same thing, did you know that child labor can force a kid to forget, not even forget, never even know their future completely?
Oh yes, absolutely.
A kid will never ever know their future.
One of these 5 days, go to uko ndani kabisa and ask those kids, when you grow up, what do you want to become? They have no idea.
They have no idea completely.
Kama kuna kitu kama hiyo.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea because their world is just surrounded na kazi.
Yeah.
And as I said later on, our viewer and listener will be telling you some of the reasons that are justifiable as to why you should take your kids to the farm with an intention of teaching them,
yes,
not punishing them. There's a difference between punishing them and teaching them.
And making them appreciate.
Exactly.
Know how to treat animals around.
Sure.
Vitu kama hizo.
Tutakuja kuzungumzia hiyo kitu.
Yeah.
And as even we talk about causes, of course tutaangalia pia, so what do we do? But there's this issue, I also have a feeling that the relevant authorities are very relaxed in enforcing the law where child labor is concerned.
Of course, we have social protection, which looks into, making sure that some of these rights stipulated in the Constitution for children are adhered to, implemented. The role of social protection is should be advocating for the rights to be adhered to. But I'm not so sure about the funding, because the funding is the grease in the machine to outreach. Without the funding, these social protection services will never reach the children. And the more, I think there's that thing about not Kenyans but people. If the authority does not reach you, unaona, then it's right.
It's right.
Ama sitaifikiwa. Quote unquote, sitaifikiwa. I tell you the truth. Some of the cases that were started in 2007, 2004, nyingine zinafungwa 2022. The will of justice is slow, but then the truth is that it does catch up with you.
It's very true. So besides even the funding that you're talking about social protection and the bodies that are concerned, let's just look at probably the government and even relevant authorities hapa chini. Tulikuwa na nyumba 10 siku hizi na kadhalika. I don't know how serious they are in enforcing the law. Confirm if you found a parent who is subjecting a child to extreme labor conditions. To me, I feel little is being done to protect these children. It's until probably the media goes and highlights, that's when you realize, watoto wanaumia. It becomes an excitement for 2 or 3 days, then again we're back to the same system. So set up your familia, we have the nyumba 10, we have the administrative bodies, akina chief na sub chief.
True.
How serious are they in enforcing the law to ensure that children are not subjected to child labor?
It's like a chief. You've seen when there's a crackdown for illicit brew.
Yes.
It's like a chief who doesn't know the importance of the crackdown.
Sure.
They're doing it as a job so they can abscond the duty as they feel, because they don't know the reason for that. I remember there was a time where kuna chief alikuwa hapa nje, hapo ndo inapikiwa hapo karibu na mlango yake. And he doesn't know.
Sure.
So at some point, it's not that, even apart from the financial muscle, I would say, kama chief wenu ajui the importance of that, mbona mtoto aende shule, mbona mtoto asikuwe employed,
Huyo chief ndio anafaa kukamatwa.
Chief abebwe. To be honest.
Yes, and by the way, we are serious on this, and it should be a collective responsibility.
It's a collective responsibility.
Mtoto ni mtoto wa society. A child belongs to the society, by the way. We always say, once that child has landed out of the stomach of the mother, or the womb, out of the womb of the mother, this one now becomes a responsibility of the society. The society is also entitled to raising that girl or boy the right way, because if society does not come in to ensure that this child is raised in the right way, umtoto will end up in the wrong hands, doing the wrong things, and all that. So it should be collective responsibility, and collective means that I am someone's neighbor. That neighbor mistreats the child. That neighbor abuses the child. Why not come out and speak? Why not come out and go outside there and reveal this information to relevant authorities? We'll have saved the generation. And
talking about relevant authorities, and also the community, do you remember Nyumba Kumi?
Yes.
Nyumba Kumi is and was a good initiative. Some people even came up with the quote-unquote clans, CBOs.
Yes.
That have even come to be economic households, economic giants, I would say that. And you ask yourself, some parts of the communities, and actually these I'll give it to more of the rural settings, where we have many people have embraced. Like the community is generally owned by the community. Things around the community are for the community.
Yes.
But ukikuja place kama huku Nairobi, and we must be true to ourselves, even the children, ata yule, I want you to look at your household. Are they your age? Let me start there. How many working hours do they work? Okay, let's even talk about the pay. Let's even talk about the working condition. Some of those things. And if somebody above the age of
18,
exactly, somebody above 18 years old is not subjected to what even some of the things that children are subjected to.
True.
How do you even justify that? Nyumba Kumi initiative should be a bit more emphasized to urban settings. Rural areas have adopted that.
Na uzuri wa rural areas wanajuana.
Yeah, wanajuana.
Mzee wa mtaa anaweza kuwa anajua kila family kwa hivi na hivi na
exactly.
Hivi. Wanajua huyu ni mtoto wa fulani, they can tell. Na hata kama hajui, it's just a matter of time na wanajua.
Yeah.
But now in urban setups, I tell you, wanasemaga maisha ni yangu.
Shughulika
na yako bwana. Hatuko hapa kufunzwa jinsi ya kuishi.
Na kupangwa.
Na kupangwa, tutapangwa, you know.
Yeah.
So I think we need to take this seriously as far as mambo ya watoto is concerned.
Yeah.
So our viewer and our listener, we want you to also weigh into the conversation.
Yes.
We get to know from you.
Absolutely.
And as probably before you look at now, what's next? Brian, most of the children that we've also agreed that are subjected to this child labor are from rural areas.
Yes.
And they want to look for food, they're looking for money to take care of their needs.
Yes.
They're looking for a way at times of pleasing their parents.
Yes.
Some of these kids have seen their parents suffer.
Yeah.
And so they also think by getting involved in extreme farming activities, they are really helping out. Because some of these children have seen their parents really suffer.
Yeah.
You know, they say, I cannot allow mom or dad to continue suffering this much. I can offer a solution. So in the process, you know, they are overburdened without them knowing that they're subjected to what we call child labor.
A child is not obligated to do your job. So simple as that.
Kama mzazi, kama tafuta chakula, wewe tafuta.
If you were to live, if that kid was not to come on earth, how will you survive?
That is it.
How are you planning to survive on that? And actually, mtoi is not, a kid is not a solution to your problems. I think we should look into that. A kid should be a non-factor when it comes to sourcing for money, labor, and making things roll. A kid is there to learn. And the best thing that you can deliver to your kid is help them reach their future, their goal, their dream one day. And if you interfere with their dream, I think you have a even more spiritual person to talk to.
Sure. This is Farm Drive at AFarmers Media. I am Dora together with Brian Mwenda looking at child labor in relation to farming activities. Our children are at home. Some of them will be going to uko mashambani vile tunasema, involving them in farming activities. Kuwatuma kuchunga ng'ombe kutoka asubuhi paka jioni. Huyu mtoto ni miaka 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15. Is that child labor? Ama unasema ni kufunza mtoto kazi?
Absolutely.
You want to know, you can also be able to call us on 0700 29 30 31 0700 29 30 31.
Okay.
We'll be glad to get your views as we continue this particular conversation. Maybe in 2 or 3 minutes before we take a break, Brian. We've already looked at the causes of what we call child labor. What do you think are now the solutions?
Well, I would love to throw in one more thought.
Yes.
Do you believe that now that because ukiwa mtoto ulikuwa unakamua ng'ombe, ukiwa mtoto ulikuwa unafanya kila kitu na wewe ulikuwa unategemewa, you should do the same thing to your kid?
Absolutely no.
Because, well,
that's a wrong thought.
And maybe you'll be even far kama si hizo mashida zote uliingizwa.
This is a very wrong thought ya 19th century huko nyuma.
Exactly.
Because if you say, and I've seen it happen, mzazi anakuambia during our time went to school without shoes. Why should I buy you shoes? During our time tulikuwa tunalimia watu mashamba kwanza ndio tuende shule. Why should I subject my child? Why should my child go through the steps I went through to be where I am?
Yeah.
And probably whatever you went through, akiangalia even your life now, in fact you're very frustrated in life.
Yeah.
So if you're telling them they should go your path,
actually,
and you're frustrated in life,
you want them to become you.
You want them
where
to become you.
Na utaishi hapo.
Exactly.
What familia yako mzima itaishi hapo. And you know, even talking about the same thing, well, kama ulikuwa subjected to some of these things, the best thing that you can be is a bridge.
Yes.
And being part of the bridge is family planning.
Oh.
Planning your family.
Yes.
Tusipate watoto kwa sababu tunaona kama labor. I think that's a thought that
you need to emphasize that point.
You know,
tusipate watoto wengi kwa sababu tunataka labor.
Children are not assets. I don't know if I don't know how you people do view that, but then children are not assets. You know, what you can do with an asset is leverage. You can leverage on an asset. You can sell it, you can rent it, you can get some monetary benefit from it. And once you start seeing children as an asset, you're done.
So you're saying, therefore, family planning will come in play vizuri.
Very important.
So don't say kwamba wacha niendelee tu kwa sababu nikikuwa nao kama 6 ama 7, you know, hii eka moja mahindi watapalilia na siku moja.
Very bad thought. You know. Ushisikia backwardness. Wana yule jamaa wa Nduthi alifanya ile kitu juzi.
Yes,
mko pamoja. You're the same.
Yeah. So don't look at your children as labor. Yani unasema nime save pesa ya kuhaya watu wakuja kulima hii shamba.
Yeah.
Watoto wafanye. I have heard and I have seen parents being excited wakati shule zinafungwa. Na ni season either ya kuplant, ya kuweed ama ni ya kuharvest. Unasikia mzazi anasema at least sasa sitatumia pesa tena kwa kuhaya labor kwa sababu watoto kazi yao itakuwa ni kukula tu. You know, understand kwamba that child has a right to eat. As long as ni mtoto akona right ya kueat na si akule chakula yenye ametafuta.
Yeah.
It's a basic right for them to eat food that have been provided, ama that has been provided by the
parent. Leta mtoto kwa dunia na mpango, my friend.
Yes. So let's also practice family planning.
Yes.
So that you start looking at these children in a different eye, an eye of treasuring them, wanting them to have a good future, wanting them to make you proud. You know, if you're not proud of the life you're living now, Brian, trust you me, you'll not want your child to live that life. So the best we can do is wish our children the best by ensuring that we give them a better life. You know, so to practice, Brian amesema to practice family planning.
We tupange kwanza kabla tujaamua kuongezea size ya family kidogo.
Alafu pia kidogo kama serikali vile tumesema. You know, I think tumeona wazazi, for example, who use their children in the farm for labor kwa sababu wameshindwa kupeleka watoto shule for a reason that the cost of uniform iko juu, hawezi ku afford uniform, na some mtu anataka uniform, hawezi ku afford vitabu na pia mambo ya school fees. So to me, I think the government and concerned bodies should also be able to subsidize the cost of books, for example, the uniforms, you know, and all that a child probably needs to be in school. You know, if we do that, I think the parent also will start saying, wacha mtoto aende shule.
Free education, and I will want to talk about CBC kidogo. Free education was thought to be free, but some people do view it as if it's not so free. And with the coming of CBC, of course, which is more hands-on, there's more material that is involved, even monetary-wise. So even as the CBC rolls, to make sure that you're part of the future, you know, part of the helping the child's future to go on, I think the best thing that you'll do as a leader, top of other leaders, is make sure that there is enough money to facilitate even the material that is needed.
True.
Wacha mtoto tu akuje asome.
Wacha mtoto asome.
I think that's a wake-up call to the government too.
#watoto
you can be part of this child labor, you don't know that. True.
Unaweza fikiria I'm doing justice, nafunza mtoto wangu kazi. Namsaidia kukuwa responsible citizen. Na kumbe unaumiza na kuingia. Ana
serikali kama u subsidize some of these small things, you're giving people vijisababu.
And I've seen parents complain, especially wakati watu wanaingia form 1. Oh goodness gracious. You'll see parents complain because the amount of money they spend kutafutia watoto viatu, socks, vitabu and just enrolling your mtoto to form 1. Wengine wanasema wacha mtoto akae nyumbani. And that's why I think it got to a point the government was going house to house just to check and ensure that kids have gone to school. And at some point I remember Professor Magoha saying mtoto aende shule awe na uniform au asiwe na uniform because the cost hizo uniforms ilikuwa very high. So the government should look at, of course, ensuring that, of course, the cost of some of these things comes down for the child to be comfortable and the parent to be able to afford. We want to take a break, and then when we come back, first we look at safe use of pesticides after the break, right? And then we'll be able now to look at probably why, at what point do we say now, huyu mtoto enda naye kwa shamba. Ndio imsaidie na nini, you know. We're coming to talk about that after the short break. This is Farm Drive at AFarmers Media.
Amaranthus, or locally known as terere, is a highly nutritious vegetable that is cultivated and consumed as a leafy vegetable in many parts of the world. It's easy to grow, matures fast, as it takes an incredible shorter period than most traditional crops. There are many species of Amaranthus, with some green and others red in color. When growing Amaranthus, ensure the soil is well drained and rich in phosphorus, and most importantly, ensure the seeds are well distributed to achieve an even spread when establishing a grain Amaranthus field. Amaranthus is especially loved for its tender leaves and for their healthy dose of ions, vitamins, and a range of minerals. Amaranthus, or locally known as terere, is a highly nutritious vegetable that is cultivated and consumed as a leafy vegetable in many parts of the world. It's easy to grow, matures fast, as it takes an incredible shorter period than most traditional crops. There are many species of Amaranthus, with some green and others red in color. When growing Amaranthus, ensure the soil is well drained and rich in phosphorus, and most importantly, ensure the seeds are well distributed to achieve an even spread when establishing a grain Amaranthus field. Amaranthus is especially loved for its tender leaves and for their healthy dose of ions, vitamins, and a range of minerals.
Mahindi yamekuwa chakula kikuu katika sehemu nyingi za ulimwengu na jumla ya uzalishaji wa mahindi kuliko ile ya ngano au mchele. Mbali na kuwa mahindi ni chakula, pia hutumiwa kutengeneza ethanoli, chakula cha wanyama na bidhaa zingine. Kunayo mahindi ya gume, mahindi ya ganda, yani popcorn, mahindi ya unga na mahindi matamu. Mahindi yanalimwa sana kote ulimwenguni na kiwango kikubwa cha mahindi hutolewa kila mwaka kuliko nafaka nyingine yoyote. Shamba la mahindi linaweza kutayarishwa kwa kutumia njia za kawaida au za kilimo cha uhifadhi. Kilimo cha kuhifadhi ni pamoja na kunyunyizia dawa za kuulia wadudu zilizopendekezwa na wataalamu wa kilimo. Unaweza kutumia trekta au njia ya mikono kufanya kilimo cha mahindi. Ni muhimu kuandaa ardhi mapema ya kutosha kuruhusu magugu kukauka na kuoza kabla ya kupanda.
Very good. I think this is evening now. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Farm Drive, last stretch.
Yes, the last stretch.
The last stretch.
Na leo time imeenda sana. Sijui tunakula chapo lunch.
You know, above that, I think we have been talking about the thing that we've been trying to play safe. Yeah? And to make sure that everybody is safe. From the moral point of view.
Sure.
Using your labor, your child as labor and stuff. And, you know, I wouldn't want to forget why you should personally be safe around your chemicals, your pesticides.
And very, very important. Tell us about it.
Yeah, of course. You've bought your pesticides, you know, you've transported them. So how do you handle them while even trying to use them? Of course, always wear personal protective equipment while handling pesticide. Wengi wametafuta some apron, but they are ask yourself kama your farm worker akona, unajua pasi kwa anatumia nguo zenye akonazo, at least anapaswa kuwa na apron hivi ama inaitwaje, overall. Yeah, absolutely. Always use the dose, amount, and the volume application rate of pesticide stated. Kama umeambiwa ni kama dawa tu. 1 times 1 eka hivyo.
Sure.
Ukiona crop yako imelala pale, alafu ukaona nimeambiwa ni spray hii, lakini naona tukiongeza kidogo itaamka. Ama una underutilize pia. So hiyo ni overdose, underdose.
Yes.
Well, kama umetupa pesa. You know, cheap is expensive. Once in a while can be, well, wrong for your maths at the end of the day. Always requires for appropriate measuring equipment while purchasing pesticide. Kwa na kale ka container tu. Kale ka container kadogo. Kakumesha ml ama kakumesha maybe kama ni powder. Itakuwa imeandikwa tu. And of course, ensure you buy the correct amount of pesticide.
Sure.
As we said, don't underuse, don't overuse. Attend available trainings on good agricultural produce practices and pesticide use in your county. Of course, as we said, one of the role of the county government is to ensure that they help in curbing pesticides, pests and diseases. And of course, some of them do meetings, trainings and stuff. And it's always good to attend and know, hata ukienda na agronomist akuja kuambie tumia hii, always ask them, how can I use it specifically? Very important. And of course, you can take over from there.
Brand.
Yes.
Just to remind you that we are talking about safe use of pesticides, courtesy of markup or market access, in conjunction with UNIDO, who are advocating for the safe use of pesticides.
Yes.
Whatever Brand has just talked about is courtesy of markup and UNIDO. You
The
as a farmer,
yeah,
you
exactly.
need to share kwamba you use pesticides safely, and the hashtag is always the bora.
Mazao bora. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yes.
Back to our discussion and talking about child labor in relation to farming.
Yeah.
This is something we are relevant with. We have not just dropped from the sun to start talking about this. Africa leading, I think, in cases of farm labor. Na Kenya nafikiria pia kuna mahali hapo kwa chart tuko sana. And we are now asking ourselves, after looking at the causes, and of course we've said anything extreme, emotionally, you know, physically harmful to a child or to someone under the age of 18, that's a child. Therefore, you're saying that amounts to what we call child labor. We've looked at the causes, poverty, and many other reasons. But now I want to look at, we've also mentioned the solutions. Let's have the government being serious in what they're doing. Let's also look at our fertility rates so that we are able to kupunguza watoto if possible. You know, kitambo ilikuwa you have as many as possible. Kama kwetu sisi ni football team, by the way, ya Chelsea. So for today I don't think it still works like that. So but yetu iko ya kwenda kufanyika kazi kwa shamba. And many other reasons. So we want to look at now the why now, why you think your children should experience, listen very well, why your children should experience farming. To us, this is very key. Because we are raising a generation of children who, if you're not careful, will become grown-ups who do not know anything, who have no foundation, a generation of kids who, for lack of a better word, have not been well trained. So we want to ensure that our kids take up to us kwa vitu ambavyo ni vizuri. Okay, good things. So if you're an example of hard work, not child labor, you know, just hard work, and you're where you are and you're enjoying the fruit, then you want your children to do the same. So we are saying, what are the reasons that your child should experience, farming? Akuwe na experience ya farming.
Of course, if they're going to have a pet one day, they should know how to treat it.
Yes.
And one of the best places to know, it's in a farm. Watu wajue ng'ombe waichapwe. You know?
Inaongeleshwa.
It's a conversation we should also pick up from here. Even animal protection rights.
Sure.
Of course, wacha wajue ng'ombe ukamuliwa hivi. Some of those basic. Yeah.
Ndio akakamuliwa.
Uchapi kitu.
Si vile huwa naona, nafikiri tunafunza watoto vibaya. Tunatandika punda mpaka jamani.
There's a campaign of tunza punda
akutunze.
And I think those cases went down.
Yes.
But still, we are not yet there. So, if you want them to take care of their pet one day, it doesn't just happen.
Do it at
Ukiwa mtoto.
stage.
Unajua baadhi ya mtoi, funny thing, mtoto akiwa mdogo, they observe, wanaweza shindwa kufanya physically, but then they observe so much you're doing.
Yes.
So much of it. So ukianza kupiga ng'ombe wako, ukianza kupiga kondoo vyovyo nini, they'll always do it, and at some point they will do without, wataanza kufanya wakati ya huko hata.
Tapata wameua kama mnyama.
Yeah.
Ama sasa wamefikiria juu mnyama anatandikwa pia waanze kutandikana wenyewe.
Yeah, baadaye utakuja kukasirika hapo
Sure.
They have done some bad. So it's always a good thing to apprenticeship. Let them see how you're doing your stuff. And of course, also, apart from that, forgetting the fact that they will see hard work. They know, even if, it's like school. This might be controversial.
Yes.
School might not be teaching you anything. You know that? At the end of the day, what school does, it opens up your mind.
Yes, hapo kwa hard work na school, yeah, nakusikiza sana.
So the kid might not specifically want to be a farmer one day, but then them seeing you not sitting in your house the whole day, and them seeing that working hard is the only way out in this world, I think they'll, even if they are going to do accounting, pilot, whatever, the value of hard work is always seen.
True, that farming can teach your child the value of hard work.
Yes.
They can learn how to work hard.
Yes.
How to work for themselves.
Yeah.
I think in as far as hard work is concerned, and farming is very, very important.
Yes, you're true.
Your children know that that is a hard worker. He works hard, that's why we have enough food at home.
Yeah.
So to me, farming will be able to expose your child to be able to learn that hard work is important and it also pays.
Yes, true.
Yeah. And Brian, having talked about hard work again, to me, as Dora, farming will actually teach your children. They'll get to know where food comes from.
Yeah, true.
They will not be living just qua space, not knowing where this food comes from. And once these children know where the food comes from, they learn to be responsible. They appreciate when they get the food. In as much as it's a basic right for them, that their parents need to provide for them, but as they also grow up, your children need to know, where is this food coming from, by the way? Every morning we see daddy with a djembe, we see mom probably taking up a djembe and gumboots and going. We also want to know what happens until this food is on the table. So for me, farming will teach your children to know where food comes from. This will make them appreciate that food when it comes to the table. How do they appreciate? They want to waste food. Because they know the process that you guys have gone through to get the food pale mezani. Especially with the extreme weather conditions as easy. Umengangana and you've been able probably to get the land, the parents have done anything to ensure that you guys have food. So I think for me, the level at which a child should actually experience farming, this level is important for me because a child grows up knowing food comes from the shamba and it's not easy, and therefore when it comes, they don't play with it.
Yeah, true.
They don't waste it.
True,
they will want. They will think of the less privileged, the less fortunate, who do not have food, you know, because they have known where it has come from.
Yeah, of course. As we talk about the same thing, once you do introduce your kid to farming in general, as I said, they must not go the farming way. But then one thing they're gonna learn from there is that, of course, kuna wale, of course, let me go back a little bit. Kuna wale wenye wata learn how stuff is done, commitment of how things are done. But then kuna wale wengine pia wako na interest in farming. And
Sure.
it doesn't mean that they're gonna be you.
True.
But what I grew up doing at my father's home, my father's and my mama's home, right now I'm doing totally different stuff. But then the same basic principle of hard work, planning, you know, looking for your own market information and everything is still the same I learned from them. So it's always simple to blend in. You know, just like I told you, education must not teach you how to do stuff, how exactly to do stuff, but then it opens you up to the world of possibilities.
I don't know whether for that reason you appreciate CBC or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no, because I've not experienced it firsthand. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been interested much into it.
But you can see the kids
trying. Yeah, I can see the kids understanding that,
trying to do something. And recently, by the way, last year, as late as last year, the government ilifufua the 4K club.
4K club is back.
Kuungana,
I did cover that story.
Kusaidia.
Yeah.
Kenya.
Yeah.
You covered the story.
Yeah, I did cover the story.
I think it was a prudent idea for the government to ensure that they revive the 4K club.
Yeah.
A very important learning experience for our children. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always as good as that.
Yes.
So
you talk something about taking care of the animals. The children know how to take care of the animals. But in relation to that also, it teaches kids life skills that we're talking about. Mtoto anajua kukamua, you know. They can be able to know how to kamua. They know how to feed the pigs. I mean, take care of the pigs around, take care of the poultry around. So they know if you want to catch chicken, what do you do? You don't need to keep running in the compound the whole day. Just look for, be creative. Tafuta mahindi, wimbi, mtama, ugali, weka hapo, alafu naita, alafu zinakuja.
No. It's what you do, you guys, during Christmas.
Yes. So, unafunza watoto kitu inaitwa life skills. Mtoto anafunzwa life skills. Unaelewa, Yeah, and of course, pia tumeguzia. Wana appreciate to food. They have that appreciation for food, which is something very, very important. Tumezungumzia hard work.
Yeah, true.
Alafu pia, nafikiri hii point ni muhimu sana kwamba pia teaching them responsibility on how wanaweza kuchangia kwa production ya chakula.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Wanajua
true.
Kwenda kupanda maharagwe unarusha mbili kwa shimo nini wakati memea they feel good that they were part of the process. I don't know. There's that feeling.
The feeling is well, scientifically how the brain of somebody does operate is that every time you do something good and it's appreciated and you feel good, there's always a hormone called testosterone. I think dopamine. It's called
Okay.
So but
so
they kuna hormone too, but did you know that it's called, I think, dopamine. So did you know that jaribu hivi go to a small kid moja afanye kitu rakani kitu wrong, lakini mwambie appreciate and then mfunze, alafu mwingine afanye kitu right ukose appreciate, those kids grow totally differently.
Very, very true. Now, what will learn to appreciate? Anytime you don't appreciate something, it depreciates. So appreciate your kids when they do it. Say it, good mama, umepanda mbegu, sawa, good. Amechukua maji ameenda kunyunyizia seedling pale kwa compound ama mti umepandwa. Yes. I mean, appreciate them.
Yeah, appreciate them.
They feel good that they were part of something. Imagine your kid growing a tree kwa compound. And then they have been involved through in the process of watering the seedling until it becomes a shade.
Yes.
Imagine the feeling that this is my tree. In fact, they become attached to it and they learn to take care of it.
Yes.
So for me, those are some of the reasons I think that your child will need to experience farming.
Yes.
This is positive, very much positive.
Yeah,
and this
true.
one is not kutesa mtoto.
Yeah.
You know, at times I think you also the way we do it ndio tunafanya kwa njia mbaya until people feel like tunatesa mtoto. But taking them through soberly without being extreme, giving them light jobs vile tumesema pale kwa shamba. Kama mnavuna mahindi, nyinyi mmevuna mahindi kama 50 in 10 minutes. Bado wako kwa ile ya kwanza. It's okay.
Just
but they're learning it.
Yeah.
You know, they're learning it. Amelima, amepalilia, but mbaya amekata maharagwe. Mara moja, mwambie it's not good but try next, you know. So let's carry them along with us.
Absolutely,
I think it works for us.
So as we move forward, I always say that solutions, what are we calling to action? Solutions are the most important thing.
Yes.
So what are some of the solutions to solving child labor in Kenya right now?
Yes, we mentioned of regulations that are put there.
Regulations.
Let the government and every concerned person or relevant bodies just take charge and do what is correct. Kama mtoto anadhulumiwa mahali, there is a child labor somewhere, please report such cases. Okay, let's understand the difference between child labor and teaching your child work by showing them some light jobs. Even now as they are at home, unatoka kwenda kazi, let them help the house help kumop ata nyumba. You see, let them learn how to wash their socks.
It's learning responsibilities.
Yes, wash alafu sema try, then the house help can finish up from there. You know, that is not child labor.
And actually, as we talk about that, I would love us to break it down this way. This is what the law says. This is what morally you should do. And then there's also your personal satisfaction and obligation.
Yes.
In terms of law, it's as basic as this. If you are caught doing child labor or participating or aiding in doing child labor, 200,000 shillings, fine.
Fine, yes.
And of course, imprisonment of, I think, not more than, I would want to be sure about this one, but then something around 24, 2 years, not more than that.
Yes.
But above that, of course, that's what the law says. Hiyo ni wakati umefika mwisho.
Yani kwa fupi tunasema wewe ukipatikana ukidhulumu mtoto ama ukimnyanyasa na kumpatia kazi mingi, unaona, then sheria inaruhusu kwamba unaweza ukakamatwa, ukafungwa, ukalipa faini. But why should you get to that extent?
Why should you?
Yes.
Once you still have a moral authority.
Yes.
Now that's where you come with the moral authority. It's your job to ensure that you learn this kid to their future. They land safely to their future. And if you're part of the reason as to why that kid will never exploit the future, as I said, you have a higher moral person to talk to. And of course, above that, morally, you know, tuko Nairobi yenye unaweza tembea Nairobi mzima bila kufunga zip. Na mtu asikwambia na anaona.
Bwana, dadi funga zip bana.
So,
na shida ni kwamba ukiambiwa pia unaweza leta shida.
You know, I think, well, it's my right. It's know your boundaries is that thing that we keep on saying. But again, above that, I would love to look at it this way. If you know somebody is doing it, play your part in informing them of repercussions and stuff. One of the best things that you can do, you know, unezambia mtu, actually how you deliver the message is how they okay, it dictate how you're gonna be with them later. So usiseme that nikimwambia atakasirika, but how you deliver it.
True.
Unaweza sema kimchezo lakini you can be firm about hiyo mchezo yako.
That's very right, Brian. And by the talking of that, you know what scripture say? Scripture said that train a child in the way that you want them to go.
Yes.
And when they grow up, they cannot forget it.
Yes.
You see, if I train a child in the way that I want them to go,
yes,
I want them to be responsible. I want them to respect people.
Yes.
I want them to appreciate that this food, mahali metoka haikuwa kazi rahisi. When they grow up, they cannot forget that aspect.
Yes.
So to me, it all goes back again to the basics. How are we raising our kids? Are we pampering them by telling them or teaching them work? Does that mean kwamba tunaonea ama hatuwapendi. It goes back to us as parents. How are you raising your children?
Yes.
And I always encourage parents, especially wakati wa holidays kama yenye uko na watoto for quite some time, ask yourself, what new thing can my child learn before they go back to school?
Yes.
You know,
yes.
if the previous holiday they came and my child was not able even to wash utensils, then at the end of this season, you can say, I would want my child to have known how to wash utensils. Then I was happy when I went to the house and mtuya alipika rice.
You know, that's such
then
a good
I went to kaanga stew. Don't ask me what the stew was. Lakini alipika rice. Alipima maji vizuri and nipata amepika rice. You know, there's that feeling. That feeling. Na see, of course, around 13, 14 years. There's that good feeling kwamba mtoto amefanya vizuri.
Yeah, actually.
Can I tell you something? Mimi the first time I pikad ugali, I was in class 3. Trust you me. I was in class 3 and I used a stove. How I used it, I don't know. I learned it the hard way though, because I came back in the evening, or I don't know if it was lunch, and then my aunt was not around. And so I didn't know it was lunchtime. So she was not around. So the thought of waiting for her, and I was hungry, I did not work well with me. So what did I do? I decided, leo, mimi nitapika ugali. My first time to cook, but I cooked ugali. Whether it either or not was not my problem. Kulikuwa na mboga ilikuwa imebaki usiku. So I pikad ugali, mimi nikakula, nikafunika, nikamwachia, I went back to school. So she came back in the evening. I was happy because she appreciated me first. Kumbe you can do it. Sasa next time, you know. Now, and from there, that's how I grew and I was able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Even as we talk about that, I was able to confirm that 12 months is the maximum sentence that you can be given. But then it's either 200,000, 12 months. Well, at some point you might be given even both.
Kama uko na 200,000 ya kupotezea uko ndani.
Tell us what you're saving for. What are you saving for?
Exactly. Unaweza pia pesa tukule. Nataka tupate a farmer's proverb.
Of course, a farmer's proverb. And before we can talk about the farmer's proverb, I saw that a kid should not work past 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Mtoto asifanya kazi past that time.
Yani asianze 6:30 a.m.
Yes.
past 6:30 p.m. bado wako tu wanafanya kazi.
Yes.
Ndio sababu tulisema tukianza working for very long hours. Hiyo ni child abuse. Hiyo ni ku abuse mtoto kabisa na haki zake.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And what you cannot take, don't give back. Put yourself in the shoes of that kid. Kama angeweza kufanya, kama ungeweza kufanya, wacha asifanye. Na kama ulifanyishwa, usifanyishie mtoto mwingine.
Wacha kuleta revenge na feelings.
Yeah. Of course, to the African proverb of the day, examine what he said, not who is speaking. Well,
examine what is said, not who is speaking.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Tell us what you think about it.
You know, we have this tendency of judging people.
Yes.
Before you even hear what they have to say, you've already started judging them. Na unaanza kusema sasa huyu atatuambia kitu gani. For me at times, listen first before you judge. Because if you start from the point of the who is speaking, then you may not listen to what is being said. And probably the what is being said could be something that could change your life around.
Yes.
So don't despise people. Please listen to what they say. It can be your boy there at home. It can be someone probably that, it could be that bodaboda, it could be that mama mboga, it could be that driver, it could be that manamba you talk about. It could be anyone. It is about what they are saying, not the who they are.
Yeah.
Kuna watu kwa society who cannot listen to watu wengine wanasema sasa huyu ako na nini ya kutuambia, and especially kama mtu ana pesa. Ndio niwaambia tutafuteni pesa, money is power, you know. So please don't look at the who. For me, look at the words that have come out of that person. You can just miss out yet there's some wisdom that was being spoken. Even the smallest of the people, the least of the people that you despise, could just have the wisdom that you've never thought about.
Yeah, it's as simple as if your child tells you that they can carry that, yeah, just listen.
Lakini akikwambia ataendesha tractor achana
pia huyo yeah. So of course, well, I think it's as simple as you said, and I wouldn't want to add more or deduct anything, but I've loved today's show because it ensures that you're not going to be part of the statistics next time, and of course you're not going to find a new home in your nearest prison. So even as we continue looking for labor, always ensure that a kid is a no-go zone.
Sure. Let us stop child labor and child abuse at all cost.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have a good society that each one is comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And more importantly, train away a child in the way that you want them to go. When they grow up, trust you me, they will never forsake that way. It's been nice having Brian in the show, and having you keeping us company.
Yeah.
Hope you learned something.
Yeah.
Keep that feedback coming into our social media platforms. We'll be able to review and, of course, revert at the same time. And if there's any other area you feel that you really want us to be able to discuss about, then you are welcome to do so through our social media platforms. We are on YouTube, AFarmers Media.
Yes.
On Facebook, AFarmers Media. Africa Farmers Club as well on Facebook.
Yes.
On Instagram at AFarmers. On Twitter at AFarmers_. And always follow our Twitter handles. And we have very good shows. The Breakfast Show, always with Noah and Mercy. We have Shajara with Diana, and then Farm Drive. So if you missed this in English, then you have a show in Swahili as well, from 11 to 1 p.m. Be sure to join in. Till tomorrow. Can we call it a day?
We call it a day. You make sure that even as you continue looking for money, always our plan.
Money is good, bwana. Pesa ni mzuri.
All right.
Madam Director, tumemaliza. Money is good, bwana.